lights on and everything, but you know, after looking at the game film and seeing what we did, we got off to a bad start, and you know, we looked tired. We didn't look like we were moving very good. We didn't do the things that we needed to do. I don't change any of my opinion. Our bigs did not play very well, and that created some problems that you wouldn't see, like stepping up on ball screens and doing things that our coverages were made that we're trailing things, but our bigs were supposed to be stepping up. If they're not there, guys are getting some shots, and yet if you look at their two stars that we had to defend, we still did a pretty good job on them. The job we didn't do was take care of the auxiliary people, and number one for them, you know, gets 11 points, he gets 0 here. We just didn't do the things we needed to do to win a big game. The place was hopping. I thought our freshmen froze a little bit. That's all part of the process for them. But in general, coming back like we did showed me a lot with both Cassius and McQuaid in particular. I thought those two guys gave us everything that they could give us. I think, you know, missing Josh, of course, is a problem, but we've kind of adjusted somewhat to that. But Kyle's absence really created an issue as far as guarding Klein and what we had to do there. So we tried to manufacture some ways that maybe didn't work out as good for us. This week, exciting week. You know, we get a week off, we get some practice time. We get game day coming here, which is exciting to me. Those 4 guys have been really good to me. They're good guys that have done a lot with college basketball, and to think there's only 8 game days a year, and we're one of them, I think is a big deal to our program, to our players, to our university. I hope and figure that we're going to have an incredible crowd Saturday morning. It's the 5th time we've hosted game day, which is the most of any Big Ten school. We've been involved with 9 game day deals, which is pretty good, and that's a privilege that I'm proud of, and that they keep coming back. You know, with, of course, Seth and Jay have been good friends for a long time. Jay Williams, of course, a player, and Reese having his Flint connections. I think they look at this place as a neat place to come back to. So I hope to see all the students and fans out there on Saturday morning, and I hope even more they're there on Saturday night, because Indiana will come in, been a little wounded. Ohio State did that at Nebraska and went and got a win. With our injuries, there's no, we're not feeling good about anything as far as comfortable. We all feel good about being 9-1 at the break. Do feel good about where this team has come offensively and defensively for the year. I think there's been a little bit of a letdown here with our offense because of 2 key 3-point shooters missing. But we're going to try to work some things out this week to do a better job on that. So closing, as far as this week goes, we practice hard today on us, something we just don't get to do enough. You know, Doug Wojcik, having him back has helped, because he's reminded me that, you know, where everybody says, well, you should do it like you did it before, how we practice, how hard we went, the war game, all this stuff. But the schedule in the Big Ten doesn't allow for that anymore. Times have changed, they've compacted everything. You just don't get the prep time for each game anymore. And so that's created some problems that I got to do a better job adjusting to as a coach, and get that through to our players. We do have a couple guys sick. I think Nick Ward's got the flu. We had our video guy couldn't even be at the game. We probably heard that, add insult to injury, we get to the plane on Saturday for a 38-minute flight, get back early, and plane wouldn't start. I think those aeronautical geniuses, those astronauts at Purdue, might have put a double whammy on us. And so we bussed back and got back late at night, and that didn't help. Riding in a bus with a couple guys that were real sick. And so hopefully we'll get through today and we'll get all healed up. We got a little rest yesterday. and be ready for the second half stretch run. Mondo.
Tom, obviously freshmen are just that, they're freshmen, but now that you're entering the second half of the Big Ten, do you see it as this is what I'm going to get, or do you see if I need to expand them more, especially with injuries, if I'm going to make a deep March run? Have you even made that decision yet?
Well, the decision is they got to get better, and you know, I think Aaron has gotten a little bit better. I think the other guy that's got to get better that maybe is not quite ready for you is Gabe, but it is what it is, you know. It's the injuries are what they are, you know, there's 4 minutes of basketball players not playing right now out of the 200 minutes that we play, and so we do got to get them better, and that's what practice is needed for, and that's what today, tomorrow, Friday, Thursday will be for, to try to get those guys work on some offensive things. You're not going to get guys to be necessarily a better shooter and better this, but to understand things, they're going to have to spend more time, we're going to have to spend more time, because this is a good enough team, but we've been dealt a tough couple of blows, and you just, you know, probably throughout a season, everybody goes through it. There's been teams out there that haven't had any injuries. There's still a long part of the season left. You know, you look at poor team like Minnesota early had a bunch. Indiana had some early. You look at what happened in Nebraska, Copeland. I talked to Tim Miles Saturday or Sunday, and you know, I mean, it was just criminal. I actually talked to the kid. He gave me his number because it, you know, I hate when kids have season-ending injuries like that, and that's going to change their team a lot. So we just got to make sure we get the freshmen as ready as they can be. Maybe I'm going to look at, you know, Bingham and which we call Thomas Kithier a little bit more. I don't know why our bigs, you know, it's going to be a little. Nick's going to have to do some things defensively, rebounds or cutouts. I mean, we're going to have to improve in some areas. And yet I say that everybody in the country has to improve, and that's why we're rated still top 10 teams in both our offensive and defensive efficiencies, which is probably we've been more solid there than any team I've had. This doesn't really add up, but it is what, you know, the facts are. At least the analytical people say that. My eye test doesn't always feel that way, but the analytics do. So we're going to get it better.
You mentioned about the bigs and the issues they had. It seems like it's been, was that more of a one-game thing with them right now compared to?
You know, I haven't liked the consistency. I don't think Xavier's played quite as well as he's been playing. Kenny's been playing pretty well, and Nick's been a little more inconsistent on, you know, he's been really good, and then he's, you know, a little bit less consistent. But you got to understand, when you take a couple of cogs out of the wheel, you know, if you remove 5 spokes from a bike, the wheel doesn't work as well. And whether anybody wants to hear it, I don't really care. But we took 2 of our best shooters out of the lineup. So they're going to guard Nick different. They're going to guard Cash different. You know, Duke lost a guard, and they've got more talent than Carter got liver pills, and they struggled in the next couple games, you know. It's the way it is. So some of Nick's things that happen with these guys are because other people are out. You know, quarterbacks aren't as good if they don't have the best receivers or the line blocking for them, as we learned last year. We don't want to deal with it. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want to make excuses for it. It is a reality. The reality is people can do more to Nick when we don't have those 2 shooters. So we got to devise a couple of new ways to do some things, and we got to get the freshmen to become better shooters, and we got to pray that we get some of those guys back.
Tom, you mentioned the efficiency numbers offensively. They might have been, I'm not looking at the year, they might have been better earlier, but how, number one, how have they been able to stay so good missing guys like that? And you feel like it's starting to go down a little because people maybe now are adjusting, saying, well,
yes,
I have these guys.
Yes, I do. I think that's a very good point. One of the few very good points you guys come up with. Just kidding. I do think that is it. You know, I think it's amazing that we could lose McQuaid for 4 games and Kyle for I don't know how many now. How many is he on? 4 or 5? Huh? No. Josh, 7, and 8, and Kyle 3 or 4. And then when they're back, they're not always the same. But that's all at one position. Kind of those wing guys that are all shooters. And we started looking at it. We were taking like 7 or 8 less threes a game. Well, Josh took 7 himself, and so those things, you adjust to. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to fall on our face either. We just got to make adjustments to it, and we're going to have to learn how to deal with it and do a little bit better job of getting the ball around. And I think our defensive rebounding has to improve, and that has nothing to do with those guys. I mean, Josh is a good rebounder, and Kyle's a good rebounder. But that's where our bigs got to do a better job. They got to take some of that burden on, because then we can still get our break going, which I think has been very good and led to some of those issues. Now, teams getting a lot of rebounds against us on the offensive end bothers me, but I'm also cognizant that we've been defending so well in general that there's more misses to get. Now, I look at it as more opportunities to get our rebound and fast break, but the opposition, if they're not shooting the ball well against you, they kind of take the chance, like I did early in my career, and say, let's make the missed shot part of your offense and go and do that. So I think people are adjusting now a little bit, but we're going to adjust this week too, because we got some time to do some things.
Tom, we've talked a little bit in the past about playing Cassius more off the ball. Is that something that you could look into more, where even if he's playing the same minutes, is that just allowing him to do that? Does that save him a little bit wings on the floor, or does that all come back to Foster, I guess? Is that something you're considering at all right now, or is that not a solution?
I don't know how to say this the right way, so I'm going to just say it as bluntly as I can say it. We had 5 freshmen that we got, and we think all 5 of those freshmen have a chance to be very, very good players. They didn't come in as McDonald's All-Americans. They weren't coming in as people that we thought we were going to play immediately. Almost none of them. We had 8 guys deep. We thought we'd get some help from a guy or 2 here. We knew Marcus Bingham had to gain 30 pounds, maybe to get into a uniform. We knew that. And we were fine with that. We understood that Gabe had to do the same thing, We really understood that about Foster. And it's been an adjustment for him. He's a smart kid that's going to pick it up. And if I say it wrong, then you think I'm giving up on a guy. Make sure you understand I'm not giving up on anybody. I mean, Cassius Winston, Draymond Green played 11 minutes a game as a freshman, We would have probably played McQuaid at the point a little bit more, especially against certain teams. We don't have the luxury of doing that because the other 2 people at his position are not there. So Cassius is going to turn into an Iron Man. What I was most impressed with Cassius is as the game wore on and he wore down, he became stronger. That is a great sign for him, that he is maturing and getting better in areas. Is it perfect case scenario? No, it's not. But that's what happens when you have injuries, guys. It's something you can't predict, and nobody in America has the depth. If Duke doesn't have it, we're not going to have it. Nobody's got it. Kansas loses a great big man, not necessarily a lottery pick or anything, but they don't have a lot of depth there. They had other players. All of a sudden, they've gone to small ball. It is what it is. So, I get calls yesterday of people, jumping off parachutes, and people, worried about the season coming to an end. I mean, we lost the game. We really do got to deal with some reality here. And the reality is we got a damn good basketball team and really good guys, and they're a fun team to watch. They are efficient on offense. They're efficient on defense. They've been more than adequate rebounding team, and we're going to get better. We're going to get better. Now, depending on what happens with these guys, it creates a problem that we're going to have to deal with and make adjustments to. But I can't just play guys that aren't ready to play. I can't play a bunch of them. I can't go in hostile environments. This thing is a process, and I like where we are. Sure, I wish we didn't have the injuries, but I like the players we got. I like the adjustments we're trying to make. We're not going to be able to do everything. So we're not going to be able to play Cassius off the ball a lot. Certain teams we might be able to do a little bit more than other teams. But all 13 guys that are on scholarship are not ready to play their first year. And that's just the way it is. And that's never going to change in a million years. And so I think right now Foster's making some improvements. Kithier's a kid that made some improvements. We're trying to get Marcus Bingham in there, but you know, we put him on a scout team, and I think if you come to a practice sometime, he's improved a lot. You know, that's another area, you know, we just didn't want to throw too much at him. You know, he's way up now. You know, he's 215 pounds, you know, way up. And some, watch my language here, some incredibly intelligent fan is going to say, well, John Doe played at 210 pounds, you know, probably not as a freshman, and probably not in this way, you know. He's learning, he's getting better, he's figuring things out. You know, Foster's learning, getting better. There's other teams in this conference that aren't playing their freshmen either because they're not ready to play. And that should not be taken as an insult, because then you'd be falling into what a lot of these people do. Be smarter than that. Come to practice, watch what you see, realize what you got, and appreciate that right now we got a very good basketball team that I still think will get better. But you're seeing in our league, some teams that were injured early, Minnesota's getting better. Some teams like Illinois, who played some young guys early, are getting better. You know, now they had the expense of losing a lot of those games early. We played more young guys than most are playing, but it's not at the level that you need. So I just feel good about where we're at. I think this thing is disappointed in that last game because I think there were some effort-related things that we didn't do. Now, was some of it fatigue? Was some of it this and that? I don't know. I really don't care. But I'm proud of what this team has done so far, and I'm excited about the second half. I'm excited about today, because I want to practice my tail off today. And I'm going to get those bigs that nobody's getting 16 offensive rebounds against us again. Or we're bringing the helmets and pads back out. Antonio must steal some from them, because we're not doing that. There's certain anchors to this program that aren't going to change. And we're gonna straighten that out, and we're going to move forward.
Is the resident germaphobe among the media corps here? I'm wondering, you have a situation with the flu, or anything like this, and you're in a sport where everybody touches the same basketball and all that stuff. Like, how do you handle that over the years? Do you have guys not sit on, like, what's the course?
Well, we had Deli. Deli, my video guy, was sicker than a dog, and you know what we did with him? We made him get his own hotel room, and then we took him to the game, put a mask on him, and then we let him sit in the locker room during the game. We wouldn't even let him sit on the bench. And then, because of the damn weather, we spent 5 hours on a bus, and Nick Ward is sick today. And I think we got a couple other guys that are sick, and they got to learn to be as miserable as I am, because when Deli's kind of bug came my way, I told that SOB to get the hell away from me, and those guys must not have told him, but you know, the bus ride didn't help our situation. You know, it was funny, David Thomas, we had a film session that night. Deli couldn't be at it. So he set it up when nobody was in the room, because I guess it is more contagious. So I'm using the deal, you know, the remote. Thanks, Fred. Appreciate it. Got your Uber boots on. I like that. Anyway, I'm using the remote, and I get a call from David Thomas. I'm laying in bed, and I get this call. He says, "Hey, make sure you wash your hands, you know, because Deli touched that thing." I said, "You're talking to a Uber, man. We don't do that stuff. You know what? I don't go around here. Fife, we got those little things where you know, wash your hands. Fife goes 2 feet, washes his hands, goes over here, washes his hands, goes over here, washes his hands. I mean, I don't believe in that. That's superstition. I mean, that's like wearing the same tie or socks. You know what? That's baloney. So I'm not going to let my guys, you know, sit in the same seat together. And but I'm not going to, you know, Delhi. I don't care. Players gotta be together. We do have a couple guys sick today, which I'm going to make sure they're sick because they know today's practice is going to be a little upscaled. So I got to figure that out by 3 o'clock. But that ride home didn't help, as dumb as it sounds. And it is kind of funny, you know, you're asking that question because it's probably the part that you do appreciate that fans don't, you know. Guys get hurt, guys get sick, guys have struggles, and it affects how they play sometimes. And so we're going to find a way to get them all healthy, but this is a big week for us to get better because the schedule is so bizarre that everybody's, not Michigan State's, everybody's, you just don't get the time. And I think that's hurting us. I think that's something that I'm definitely going to look at and talk to people about. I do think we're crunching games together too much.
I'm going to ask several times. Did you have any idea, can you share at all what exactly is going on with Josh and kind of where you stand health-wise?
You know, guys, I don't mind you asking, but I think you know me pretty well by now. And you've asked the same question, Kyle, probably every day, because you got some boss telling you got to get the answer. And I don't blame you for that. But if I had the answer, I promise you, you'd know. I don't know what's wrong with Josh. He's got a problem in his ankle that they've been x-rayed, MRI'd, CT'd, PW'd, FW'd, NW'd, I don't know what other things. I'm not a medical guy, but every possible, we've sent him to a specialist. He's gone through everything he can go through, and the only thing I can give you is there is questions whether a stress reaction occurs that doesn't show on all those things, you know, and whether it's cartilage, whether it's not. And we have taken more pictures. I told you we're hoping to know something this week, but I told you some of that last week. He did start working out last week. He got a little sore. Is that little sore because he hadn't done anything for a month? I don't know. And I don't mind you asking, but I'm not like some of those guys that hides injuries from people. I don't think I am. If I am, you know, here's a good one. Kyle's got a bad back. I don't know what else to tell you. You know, the guy jumps on the floor, he falls on the floor, he plays harder than anybody I've ever had. So I think he's going to have a bad back the rest of the year.